so-called Jamaicans, man. You know?
Yeah. This is at the Nature Know No Color line by J. Rogers, right? And this is on page 123. We're gonna read into it. Highlight.
Waite says, an interesting gradation of all shades down to the black exhibited by the Jews, especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal.
Now, you're saying Jews. You had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? You had the three tribes that were left over there. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And that was stuck on all of the three tribes that were left on there. The word Jew. But that word go back to the tribe of Judah. Okay? And Paul, he himself was from the tribe of Benjamin. That's why he was saying that in Romans 11th chapter. Right? So you know the Benjaminites was still over there. But this, we're gonna read into it.
Okay. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal.
Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. Right? So you had Israelites in Spain and in Portugal. Right? Go ahead.
The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard.
Yeah, the Portuguese Jews were very dark. Okay? Go ahead.
The Duchess Diabrantes' wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person.
So they were the same people. Right? The Negro and the Jew were the same people. That's what they're saying. In Nature Know No Color line by J. Rogers. He was a historian. Okay? And he did his research, which Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans don't do. And they don't read nothing. Go ahead. Read that again.
So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark.
What happened? You know? What happened? They thought all the Israelites, the Jews, were black. What happened? Deception. That's what happened. Esau kicked in with his lies. See? That's his job. That's one of his weapons. To shoot at you with them fiery darts, which is them lies. Okay? Go ahead.
So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. This belief, said Wabat, shows what an error most people are in, since he says the German Jews, as for example those of Prague, are as white as most of their German countrymen.
Yeah, so they in error. You see? That's where that deception kick in there. Okay? That's where that deception kick in there. But that's it on that, right?
Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal,
said many of the Jews that were banished from Portugal, right?
By John II.
By John II, right? Yeah. All right.
Settled in the West Indies.
It says settled in the West Indies. So you had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi over there. And where did Benjamin settle? In the West Indies. See what you got? Go ahead.
John Bigelow who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of these Jews and says they were Negroid. Yeah.
You see? So they were letting you know that the scholars already, and Esau already did research what the tribe was. He already knew. But the problem is You Benjaminites don't know. What you so-called Jamaicans, you don't know. But you don't do research. Okay?
The Eastern Jews who settled in Austria, Poland, and Russia were Negroid too.
You see? So Jake was everywhere. Okay? And them Edomites start getting up in Poland when Jake started leaving. Okay? Jake was in there first because when you go into this book, it tell you about Polish and noble families, which were Jake's. So what were they? They was the Israelites. Okay? So Israel was scattered. Now this is another book, Babylon and 10 Books too, right? By Rudolph Winston. Right? And that's on page 116. So we're gonna go into that. Right? About Israel.
Alright, this is Babylon, the Timbuktu, starting on page 116. The Jews who were expelled from Spain and Portugal were scattered throughout the Mediterranean coast.
So they were scattered. You had some of them go over there to the West Indies, boom, which is prophesied, and then you had some of them straight back. That's why you still got Israelites over there on the west coast of Africa. Like the Ashantis. Those are Benjamin, man.
That's right.
Ashanti is that's Benjamin. So they still left over there. Okay, go ahead.
It is estimated that over 100,000 Jews departed from Spain and Portugal during the persecutions and the expulsion. Some of these Jews went to Northern Europe, Italy, and Turkey.
So see, they being scattered, man. So you had them. So you had the three tribes that was over there that was part in Portugal and Spain. You had them scattered out, man. They were stretching out. So that's why the prophets say Israel gonna be amongst all the nations, man. Matter of fact, give me 2 Maccabees 1 and 27. And then give me Toby 13th chapter.
All right, this 2 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 27. 13, 3. No, I know you said 2 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 27. All right. Gather those together that are scattered from us. Deliver them that serve among the heathen. Look upon them that are despised and abhorred, and let the heathen know that they are our power.
See that? All right, what you got in there? Oh, read Tobit.
Book of Tobit, 13th chapter, 3rd verse. Confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them. It says, they declare his greatness and extol him before all the living, for he is our Lord, and he is our power, our Father forever.
All right, go ahead.
Keep going. Right. It says, verse 5, and he will scourge us for our iniquities.
Which he did. Go ahead.
And will have mercy again, and will gather us all out of all nations among whom he hath scattered us.
There you go. So Israel is scattered everywhere. And we read part of the history how they were dispersed. And it was prophesied that they were going to be in the West Indies. And it was prophesied, going into the southern kingdom, going into the northern kingdom, that they was going to be on this side of the world. Right. But we're dealing with Benjamin right now because we already brought our history outside of the scriptures, right? Concerning Asher and Naphtali. But we're going into Benjamin right now. Go ahead.
All right. But most of them, some of these Jews went to Northern Europe, Italy, and Turkey. But most of them went to Muslim countries of Northern and Western Africa.
So they were scattered, man. They were scattered. Okay?
These black Jews would naturally go to African countries, most of all because of less persecution, and they could disguise themselves easily among blacks.
Because they look like us. Them Hamites, which are not our people, them Ethiopians, them Egyptians, them the Canaanites, okay? Those Africans over there are not our people.
That's right.
Okay? They are Hamites. But you got Israelites that's in the western part of Africa, that's in Angola, scattered throughout
That's a spirit, man. I showed finna get it. This is Isaiah 11 and 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pt4 and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea.
See that? Well, you can drop that and go back to this right here.
When the Jews were expelled from Spain,
in Babylon, in Timbuktu was a university, was a college that had a lot of higher learning and had a lot of books in it. Okay, that's what they had in Timbuktu. Okay, over there in Africa, so-called Africa.
When the Jews were expelled from Spain, about 100,000 entered Portugal. They were permitted to enter under the condition that they paid the poll tax.
They were being taxed. They were paying tribute. Paying taxes or paying the tribute. Are you in slavery? Yep. Yes. When you pay that. Okay? Go ahead.
They were permitted to enter under the condition that they pay the poll tax, with the understanding that they would leave the country within 8 months. Also, at this time, the king obligated himself to take the Jews wherever they desired at the termination of the 8 months.
All right, and around that time, them Boziers was in there strong, man. The Bozier family. Hey, they was in Rome and Spain strong, man. They was in there strong. Okay? Go ahead. Them Edomites was in there strong, man. Go ahead.
When the time expired, many Jews were stranded because the king did not provide enough ships in time. All the black Jews who were left behind were deprived of their freedom and sold into slavery.
Deprived of their freedom and sold into slavery. That was the problem. Okay? Go ahead.
During the reign of King George II, or John II, 700 black Hebrew children were ruthlessly taken away from their parents in Portugal and transported to the island of Santon off the west coast of Africa. This island is located near Nigeria, Cameroon, and Gabon.
See, the Cameroon, those are Israelites.
Cool.
Okay? Go ahead.
Ellen H. Godbey says that the Portuguese founded the island of Santon in 1471 in the year 1484.
Alright, so we're gonna drop that Babylon Timbuktu, right? We're gonna drop that, right? So that was going to a little history. Benjamin is in the West Indies, and then you got Benjamin still over there in Africa, okay? Still over there in so-called Africa, right? And this is another one.
This is the Hebrew heritage of Black Africa, fully documented.
Right.
And that's by Moses Farah.
Yeah.
By Moses Farah.
All right, and we're gonna go in this. We're gonna go in this right here.
Starting at page 22.
Right. I'm gonna have to jump it around. Go ahead, probably.
It says, this is chapter 4 on page 22. Ashanti Hebrewism. Salakia, Hebrewisms. Professor R. Sutherland Ratterray, in his book Religion and Art in Ashanti, says the Ashanti word abayafo means female witch or sorceress. According to J.G. Christaller, in his famous dictionary of the Ashanti language, still considered one of the most exhaustive of its kind. The word is derived from oban, which in turn is a compound of ob and ayin, which he says mean witch, wizard, or soothsayer when put together. This compound word, whose West Indian Jamaican
Read that slow.
This compound word, whose West Indian Jamaican equivalent is obey.
See? So he basically comparing the Ashanti language to the way the West Indies, which are Benjamins, and the Ashantis are Benjamin. He comparing their language, and he comes to the conclusion that they're the same people and they speak the same language. So that's Benjamin over there.